Good afternoon, everyone. We are the Group 1 and I am Terry Falagas together with Miss Joyce Negron, John Mark Asantista, Kyra Ballesteros, and Nerissa Sarmiento. Pero yung mga reports po ni Miss Nerissa Sarmiento and Sir John Mark Asantista is i-report namin since nasa duty po sila ngayon. So the topic that we are about to discuss is all about etiology of diseases. The contents of our report are what is etiology, factors of disease causation, the natural history of disease, ecologic causes of disease, agents of infectious disease, sources of infection and disease in community, means of transmission, measures of disease outbreaks, epidemiologic methods, and investigation of epidemics. So, what is etiology of disease? Etiology is the study of the causes, origins, or reasons behind the way that things are or the way they function, or it can refer to the causes themselves. So basically, etiology of diseases simply means that it examines yung mga possible causes for the development ng mga certain diseases. Factors of disease causation. So let's start muna sa controllable risk factors. Diet and body weight. Diet and body weight, when we are very conscious and disciplined enough sa mga kinakain natin, iniinom natin, then makaka-avoid tayo ng mga certain diseases na pwedeng i-cause ng mga too much intakes of foods na mga hindi naman healthy sa body natin. Second one is the daily levels of physical activity. Daily levels of physical activity, if we are into exercising regularly, then we could achieve a healthy body. Level of sun exposure. UV index under 1 to 5 means low risk of harm. Then 6 and above naman is no longer healthy sa skin. So, dapat aware tayo sa UV index para maiwasan natin yung mga diseases na pwedeng i-cause ng too much sun exposure. Next one is smoking and alcohol abuse. Smoking and alcohol abuse, we should not engage yung sarili natin sa mga ganitong vices para makaiwas tayo ng mga diseases na pwedeng ibigay sa atin such as lung cancer, bronchitis, liver damage, and many more. Let's proceed naman sa uncontrollable risk factors. Age, gender, ethnicity, and heredity. These factors are uncontrollable since no matter what your age, your gender, your ethnicity, and heredity, magkakaroon ka pa rin ng diseases. Factors of disease causation. Epidemiologic triad or triangle. The traditional model for infectious disease. It is consists of external agent, a susceptible host, and environment that brings the host and agent together. Agent, originally referred to an infectious microorganism or pathogen. So yung agent, this could be the virus, bacteria, parasite, and other microbe. Yung presence po ng agent can cause disease. Sa triangle na nakikita nyo dyan, yung agent, yan yung what sa triangle. And then, host. It refers to the human who can get the disease. These are the organisms harboring the disease that caused by the agent. Tapos, dyan naman sa triangle, ang host naman dyan is yung who. Kapag agent, what? Kapag host naman, yun yung who. And then, environment. It refers to the extrinsic factors that affect the agent and the opportunity for exposure. Ito naman yung mga external factors that cause or allow disease transmission. Sa triangle, ang agent yung what, ang host yung who, and then ang environment naman is yung where. The natural history of disease. It refers to a description of the uninterrupted progression of disease in an individual from the moment of exposure to casual agents until recovery or death. Knowledge of the natural history of the disease ranks alongside casual understanding in an importance for disease prevention and control. Natural history of disease is one of the major elements of descriptive epidemiology. Natural history of disease. It refers to the progress of a disease process in an individual over time in the absence of intervention. The process begins with exposure to or accumulation of factors capable of causing disease. Without medical intervention, the process ends with recovery, disability, or death. So, nakikita nyo dyan, mag-start siya sa exposure and then sa host. Once the host is already exposed, magkakaroon siya ng disease. And kapag yung host already exposed and meron na siyang disease, it's either makaka-recover siya, disability, or death.
So, ecologic causes of disease. What causes of ecological? These are the causes of ecological is include the habitat loss, degradation, and fragmentation, overgrazing, overexploitation of ecosystem by humans, human industrial growth and overpopulation, and climate change, ocean acidification, population, and invasive species. Next. These are the top key notable examples in disease ecological. So, yung malaria is, ito yung malubhang sakit na nakakamatay. Karaniwan nakakahawa sa isang partikular ng uri ng lamok. And the next one is the West Nile virus. Ito naman yung yung karaniwan kumakalat sa mga tao sa pamamagitan ng kagat ng isang mosquito. And next one is Lyme disease. It is transmitted to humans through the bite of infected. Oh, itong tatlong ito is an airborne transmitted by disease. And next one. These are the top one. These are the top 7 agents in infection disease. First one is the viral infection. The second one is bacterial infections. The third one is fungal infections. The last, the fourth one is parasitic infections, and the last one is transmittable spongiform exopyelite or prone disease. So first one, viral infections. This is the enclosed in protective mechanism. Capsid viruses cannot replicable independently because they are considerably smaller than your cell. They enter in your cells, use machinery inside duplicate themselves. And the next one is bacterial infection. So yung bacteria, aware naman tayo na mayroong bacteria na kailangan din ng katawan natin na hindi naman siya considerable na bacteria na mas nakakasakit. So meron yung mga bacteria din na mas maganda sa kalusugan. And these bacterial infections are single cells organism with little DNA that contains all of their instructions. Bacteria are everywhere. So bacteria is mahaligulik natin kahit saan-saan. Even our skin, inside our bodies. Many bacteria are beneficial or harmless, but some produce toxin that can make you ill. Next one is fungal infections. Like bacteria, fungi come in wide variety, your body and they home to them. You may become if you fungus goes out of control. Dangerous fungi enter your body by your mouth or your nose or if you have a skin infection. For example, ang fungal infection is the ringworm infection sa may paa. And next one is parasitic infections. Parasites live and reproduce inside the bodies of other organisms. The next one is the prone disease. So, itong prone disease natin is the most common na nag-either use in get with them with a cause in illnesses. and a very uncommon source of infection disease of prawns. Next one.
Sources of infection and disease in a community. Chain of infection. Infectious agents, microorganisms capable of causing diseases or illnesses. Ito yung infectious agents na um, ability to cause diseases like bacteria, fungi, parasite, and prions. Susceptible host. Individuals may have traits that affect their susceptibility and severity of diseases, like immune deficiency, diabetes, burns, surgery, and age. Portals of entry, ways in which the infectious agent enters the susceptible host, mucous membrane, respiratory system, digestive system, and broken skin. Mode of transmission, ways in which the infectious agents is spread from the reservoir to the susceptible host. This could be physical contact, droplets, and airborne. Portals of exit. This describes the way of microorganisms leaves the reservoir. For example, in blood, secretions, excretions, and skin. Reservoir, a place in which infectious agents live, grow, and reproduce. This may be a person, water, and food. Modes of infectious disease transmission. In general transmission, abiotic environmental factors like wind, water, inhalation of spores, entry into skin. And in animal vectors like mosquitoes and flea, in mosquitoes, there are malaria and dengue. In flea, bubonic plague. Human to human transmission, direct contact, pathogen survives best inside the body. Examples, HIV, herpes viruses, and Ebola. Indirect contact pathogen survives harsh environment. Pick up pathogen from surface or air. Examples, influenza and norovirus. Droplets pathogens are in droplets but do not survive long this way. Examples, Ebola, Bordetella pertussis. Airborne pathogens aerosolize and stay infective. Examples, influenza, tuberculosis, and fecal oral through contaminated water or food. Examples, cholera, norovirus, and Shigella.
So measure of disease outbreak. We frequently measure that used to characterize the occurrence of health events in populations. Under incidents, the occurrence of new cases of disease of injury in a population over a specified period of time. Take note, this incidence is the new cases of disease. And the next one is prevalence. Refers to the proportion of persons who have a condition or during a particular time period. So, ang pagkakaiba nila ng incidence at prevalence is yung incidence kasi is specified in period of time and the prevalence naman is in particular period of time. Mortality. a measure of frequency of occurrence of death in defined population during specified interval. Next one. So these are the methods of epidemiology. So when we say observationals, these are ones where researchers observe the effect of the risk factor, diagnostic test, treatment, or other intervention without trying to change who isn't exposed to it. While yung experimental naman are ones where researchers introduce an intervention and they study the effects. So observational, meron siyang two categories which is the descriptive and analytical. And under analytical, meron siyang apat category which is the gross outbreak, cross outbreak, ecological, cross control, and cohort. And under experimental, meron naman siyang RCT or randomized control trials, field trials, community trials. So next one. So epidemic, the unusual occurrence in community or region or disease, specific health related behavior. Example, smoking or other health related events. Example, traffic accidents, clearly in excess of expected occurrence.
So, on behalf of Kuya JM and Ate Nerissa, will be reporting their parts po. Steps for epidemic investigation. Number one, verification of diagnosis. And then confirmation of the existence of an epidemic, defining the population at risk, rapid search for all cases and their characteristics. Number five is the data analysis, formulation of hypothesis, testing of hypothesis, evaluation of ecological factor, further investigation of population at risk, and writing a report. Verification of diagnosis. This is the first step in an epidemic investigation. A clinical exam of a sample of cases. Lab investigations done if necessary. Confirmation of the existence of an epidemic. Comparing the disease frequencies during the same period of previous years. Some common source epidemics of cholera, food poisoning, hepatitis, etc. No comparison is required. Defining the population at risk. Obtaining a map of the area map is prepared, if not available. It should contain information of natural landmarks, roads, and location of all dwelling units along each road or in isolated areas. Counting the population is counted by house-to-house visit. The population census may help. Rapid search for all cases and their characteristics. Medical survey. It is the screening of each member of the population for the presence of disease in question. And then epidemiology case sheet should be carefully designed to collect relevant information. Searching for more cases. Maybe ask if he knew other cases in the home, family, neighborhood, school, workplace, and etc. The search is carried out until the area is declared free of epidemic.
Data analysis. Data should be analyzed on ongoing basis using time, place, and person. Time. Time and dates of onset and epidemiological curve should be prepared. It may suggest a time relationship with exposure to a suspected source, whether it is a common source of propagated epidemic or whether it is a seasonal or cyclic pattern. Place. It is a spot map should be prepared. Clustering of cases may indicate a common source of infection. Person. Analyze the data by age, sex, occupation, and other possible risk factors. Attack rates or case fatality rates determined. Formulation of hypothesis. Hypothesis is formulated on the basis of time, place, and person or the agent host environment. Testing of hypothesis. All reasonable hypotheses need to be considered and weighed by comparing the attack rates in various groups for those exposed and those not exposed to each suspected factor. Evaluation of ecological factor. The disease should be related to environmental factors to know the source of infection, reservoirs, and modes of transmission. Further investigation of population at risk. The study population at risk or a sample of it may be needed to obtain additional information. Writing a report. The report should be complete and convincing. Information to be included in the report consists of the following. First, background information. Second, historical data. Third, methodology in if investigation. Fourth, control measure. That's all. Thank you.